I'm one of the leaders of the project called Scale Up Milwaukee. And as you know, from time to time, we have these hangout sessions with entrepreneurs, investors, professional service companies, and all the different players in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in the Milwaukee region. And I'm here today with, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Hans Angermeier, who's the founding CEO of Car Care Kiosk, which is a mouthful for at least me. Let me just say before we get started that Scale Up Milwaukee is supported by a great group of supporters that we hope will enlarge over time. It includes American Express Open, it includes the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee, includes the Greater Milwaukee Committee, includes WIDA, includes the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and I really hope I haven't forgotten anybody because we really appreciate the support of all the, and of course the mayor's office and the governor's office, if that's not clear. Scale Up Milwaukee, go to our website, scaleupmilwaukee.org or sumke.com. We do have these hangouts from time to time, and I'm going to turn it over right now to Hans, and I'm going to ask him just to very briefly just explain to us who know nothing about Car Care Kiosk what it is. Give us the elevator pitch.
Car Care Kiosk, well, thank you, Dan, first and foremost, for inviting me to participate in the Hangout and for all of your work with Scale Up. I've been to several of the meetings, the events that you've held in Milwaukee, and they've all been very well attended, and I've always walked away feeling like it was a great use of my time, that I learned a lot and met a lot of very influential people, so thank you.
Good.
Car Care Kiosk, to answer your question specifically, the easiest way to think about it is a video version of the maintenance section of the owner's manual in your car. So we provide free how-to videos that show how to do anything from changing air filter to wiper blades to headlight bulbs and more, specifically for your car.
Okay, sounds good. So what stage are you? Do you have revenues? Are you expecting revenues? Where are you?
Have revenues. We have revenues. We're happy to say that we have revenues, and we're expecting more. So
I should hope so. And tell us just a little bit. My understanding is that you moved back to Milwaukee, or moved to Milwaukee. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I grew up originally in a suburb of Milwaukee called Waukesha, and I went to school at Indiana University, got a degree in finance, an undergraduate degree in finance from the Kelley School of Business there. I moved to New York in 2006 for about 4 years and worked as an investment banker for 2 different banks in New York. And then in 2010, I started Car Care Kiosk out of my apartment on the Upper East Side. And after about 8 months of that in New York, I decided to move to Milwaukee with my wife and brought the business over to Milwaukee. The move was for 2 reasons. One, it gave her the opportunity to make a career change as well. She was an account manager for a radio ratings company, and she wanted to become a nurse. And then for me, it became significantly more cost-effective, if you will, to operate a business out of the Midwest than it was in Manhattan.
Well, clearly, the cost-effective is only one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is ability to grow. So if you cut costs but you can't grow, it's not a very good deal, right? So tell us a little bit about that equation in the Milwaukee region for you.
Great question. So the Milwaukee region, I wish I could say that I had the foresight that Milwaukee was going to be perfect for 10 different reasons, but in actuality, it was something that I thought, well, I could move there. It's relatively inexpensive. It's, has its own airport, and it's not far from Chicago. Was kind of how I broke things down in my mind. I've been pleasantly surprised with the whole tech scene in Milwaukee. I've also been really impressed with the caliber of people here. For us to get talent in this place, to your point, Dan, about growing, and obviously you can't grow if you cut off all the nutrients that you need to grow. For us, Wisconsin and Milwaukee in particular is a great place to get talent. I think because of the mentality of people here. one thing that we do is we film how-to videos on a daily basis. And when we first started filming videos, we really had to feel our way out as far as what's the best way to film them. How do you do it where you can film a lot but also hit a really strong production quality? And to be able to attract people like that, you need people who are able to think on their feet, who are willing to take a chance at something that's maybe only half baked or 3/4 of the way baked, and who are willing to accept a fair degree of variation in the day-to-day operations of the business. So for all those reasons and more, it's actually been a fantastic fit, Milwaukee, and I've been pleasantly surprised in a lot of different areas.
So you've been finding good talent, technical talent, and also the talent that production talent.
Yes, I mean more so on the production side. The tech side, we've used some local talent, and then we also still use some developers that we've worked originally with in New York. So really more on our end, personally, it's been more on the production side.
Great. So you've got a virtual team of people. You've got some here, some there, and your expectation is to grow. And do you see any bottlenecks in growing? What do you see the challenges that are going to be in scaling to 5 million, 10 million, 100 million?
So, great question. I like to think that I know of all the potential bottlenecks, but I don't. What I can say, to give you a feel for where we are now and how far we've come, we've launched the business in December of 2011. And so we're about a little over a year and a half old as a live site. We have over 650,000 unique users per month on our site, and we're growing about 5 to 10% per month as it is. To get to your question specifically, the challenges I think are similar, probably with many different startups, and that is, how do you manage the growth without being, at least for me, being pulled in too many directions, and to have a laser-like focus, if you will, on what it is that you're doing well, what's getting you that traffic, how are you earning your revenues, what are your business lines that you need to shed or put less resources into, and where do you need to put more resources into. And so that's, I think, the biggest challenge. We have a great team, and I can't say enough how much I lean on the team to really day-to-day help us manage the growth, and so far it's worked out well for us.
Your customers, tell us just quickly about your business model, how you make revenues, and then I'll ask you a question following.
Sure. So our business model currently right now is it's a free site. So we really are looking to gain critical mass of this area of the business. We think there's a lot of opportunity here. There's over 250 million cars in the U.S. alone. So certainly for every car there's a driver. In some case, a driver may have a couple different cars, but you're looking at least 200 million different people who this service would be applicable to, and who would find this service helpful. So it's a very large addressable market in that regard. Our customers, where we make our revenues right now, are in two different areas: primarily advertising, and then on a secondary basis, we do have a partnership with Amazon, where when users of Car Care Kiosks go on to buy parts and tools from Amazon, we turn around and get a commission from them. But the thing to remember, and a lot of people scoff, specifically investors like to scoff at the ad-supported revenue model. In our case, it's worked out very well because our users are on our site. Our average visit duration, so your average user is on our site for over 20 minutes. And in the internet world, that's eternity. Usually if you're 2 to 3 minutes, you're doing well. So we're well over 20 minutes, and we offer the ability for our advertising partners to basically hang a billboard in front of our users who are in the market for car parts and in the market for car tools, and they're thinking about it right then and there. It gives those advertising partners the ability to persuade that user to buy their product right when a purchase decision is being made. And that's very powerful, and fortunately for our business case, parts companies particularly have been eager to pay for those impressions.
So that's fantastic. So the three critical resources of any company that wants to scale are people, obviously talent, customers, I'm just speaking common sense here, and then in many cases capital as well, because especially when you're growing rapidly, it creates a big strain on your working capital and cash flow. What have you done about that, and has Milwaukee been at all a good environment for raising the capital that you need?
Yeah, great question again. It sounds like you've done this before.
I've been doing this for over 30 years.
Well, it shows. So again, great question. So we've done 2 capital raises. We did our first capital raise at the start of the business in the early spring of 2010, and that was when I was still in New York. And then we did a second capital raise about a year ago, so about this time last summer. And our second capital raise had significantly more investors from the southeastern Wisconsin area. So in our experience, I mean, that's been something that I've run into where folks have told me that they've had a difficult time raising capital. That hasn't been the case for me. We've had a great experience raising capital both times that we've done it. I certainly think that my background in finance has certainly given me probably a leg up with regards to how to tell the story and how to get other people excited enough about the story, about the prospects, about the opportunities of the company to get them to write some checks. But for us, it's been a fantastic environment to raise capital.
Do you anticipate additional capital raises going forward?
Well, not in the immediate future. I'll never say never to anything. But I can say that we've had a couple of unsolicited offers from a capital raising perspective, more on the strategic side, that we have turned down. And at this point, you know, we're really we feel like we're in a great place from a balance sheet perspective on the business. So
that's great.
Never say never, but not in the immediate future would be my final answer on that.
I wasn't offering, but one of the big questions is, I'm an active angel investor. I won't invest in Milwaukee because I'm involved in other ways there. But one of the questions I have as an investor when I consider investing is not just whether this looks like a good company with customers. What happens if it takes off and it's going to grow and it's going to need more capital? Will it be able to raise the much bigger bucks?
Yep.
And that's oftentimes a determinant as to whether I think it's an attractive investment or not. I think that other experienced angel investors will feel the same way. And that was the question. Did you think, is it your feeling that the resources are available if you need? You don't have to answer that because you may be you don't know what's around the corner. So that's a fine answer if you want to give it.
I'm happy to answer that. And my answer is yes, I think they are available, particularly for any company that's been able to execute on its plan. And so that's something that I'm personally very proud of, is laying out a plan, what I expect to happen. Now, granted, my expectations, you know, they're not accurate to the nth degree, but overall, you know, the growth trajectory of the business, the revenue trajectory of the business, the timing may have been a little bit off from my initial projections, as you probably are well aware. You know, on the angel side,
never happened before.
Things seem to take longer than you expect, but the flip side is it seems that when it rains, it pours. And so right now we're in kind of the rain and pouring in a good way side of the business, and so I do think, to answer your question specifically, that if that need should arise, we would be able to accommodate it.
Have a look, by the way, if you haven't heard of them. I'm an angel investor in a company in the Southwest United States called Local Motors. And I think you may have heard of them, you may not, but take a look. I think Americans, we love our cars, and that for better or for worse, we love our cars, and that's a very, very, very big business.
What do they do?
Local Motors, well, this is about you, not them, but they do crowdsourced design of cars and local micro manufacturing plants.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
It is cool. It's going well. So
are they in Israel, or where are they based?
No, Southwest United States.
Oh, very cool.
Phoenix.
Okay.
So
I'll check them out.
The last question that I have is that when you think about startup and you think about scale up, what are the main differences? And more specifically, if you knew now what you knew then, what advice would you give to yourself about scaling up post startup?
So kind of a two-part question there. I would say startups versus scale-ups. In my mind, I think of a startup as, hey, I've got an idea. I think this might work. I think I would use it myself. How do I put all the pieces of the puzzle together to at least get a proof of concept out there and see if it works? And once you kind of get indications that your idea is going to work, the second part of startup is making it work. And execution, I think personally, execution risk is a huge risk from an investor's standpoint. You could have the best idea in the world, but you need to also have confidence as an investor that the person or team that you're putting your capital behind is going to be able to execute on the vision. Scale up, how that varies from scale up is after you get some initial success. And success, it may be revenue driven. Obviously, it's always better if it's revenue driven. But even if you're in some sort of a business that, maybe it's a user-based business, whatever your milestones are, whatever your metrics are, you're getting success there. Scaling up is leveraging that early success and growing, in my opinion, exponentially. And that's kind of the difference that I see between startup and scale up. Most companies, I think, would go from startup to scale up ideally pretty quickly, and then building out from there. How do you get the talent that you need? How do you build out your management team so that you have the right people in the right places, and that you can, it goes back to that focus question. Stay focused on what you need to stay focused on. And it sounds like easy advice, but it can be hard to really know what you should really be spending your time on, and ignoring. I'm getting off topic, but
so Hans, the last question is one piece of advice that you would give to yourself 2 years ago. What would it be?
Be patient. Be patient, and stick with your plan. And when things aren't working out the way you expect them to work out, reassess what your plan is. And if you reassess your plan and you come back to the same conclusion you had before, be patient. That would be my advice.
Work hard and be patient.
Well, sure, that's a given. That's a given.
Yeah, I want to just make sure that, at least in my opinion, being patient doesn't mean sitting and waiting.
No. And then, absolutely. I mean, you're always working hard. The working hard and making calls every day and going out and getting it done every day, that's a given in my opinion. The patient side is just for your own mental sanity. As a founder where you have all your eggs in one basket, that you don't know how well the construction of the basket is. Sometimes patience can be a virtue with regards to just managing your own expectations. But hard work is a given. Not being afraid to call people you don't know is obviously absolutely a given. But I just assumed that was already in place.
Okay, well, Hans, we all wish you the best of luck. We wish you the best of luck, of course, in Milwaukee. And one of our jobs is to help bring in all the different stakeholders to understand that if you take the car care kiosk and multiply it by 100 times and multiply that by another 10 times, then Milwaukee's future is insured. So I want to thank you very much. This is from Dan Isenberg at Scale Up Milwaukee, scaleupmilwaukee.org. Thank you very much, and we really, really hope you'll succeed.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everything you're doing, and to the folks who are watching, Car Care Kiosk is a free site at carcarekiosk.com, and I'm Hans Angermeier.
Okay, thanks.